Jazakallah khair, Maulana Sahib. A powerful presentation as usual, and all of us who have heard Maulana before would know that he's touched on so many of the things that he normally speaks about, but he's gone into much more than just the political and economic challenges of the modern age. I think Maulana seems to also have a degree in history. He remembers all these dates and events and things that happen, and you can't help but learn something from him when you hear him deliver a lecture. So much like with the presentation this morning, we're going to devote some time to a question and answer session, just about half an hour, inshallah. So we'll follow the same format of this morning. Brothers, if you have a question, you can come forward close to the table in front here. There's the cordless mic passing around, and sisters as well, or you can write down your question and pass it to us. Just when you're asking a question, if you can give us your name and let us know where you're from, inshallah.
Ambassador Usman Ali, my colleague when I worked at the Foreign Service.
Assalamu alaikum again. Really a great pleasure listening to you, Brother Imran. It makes me feel very proud, both from your academic excellence and the quality of the Islamic knowledge. My question is a rather very simple, almost naive one. Why is it in Muslim countries, or what's perceived as Muslim countries, there is squalid poverty, moral bankruptcy, poor government, in spite of the fact of what we talk about the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad? What has gone wrong? Why is it, and how can we really market this religion? That's a problem. We are unable to market it. We are unable to. The problem also that some of us can't communicate. You're an excellent communicator. We are all trainees here. I make this analogy. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have the steel band. I feel it's an excellent instrument. It's not only carnival and jump off. It's a lovely instrument, fascinating instrument. I hope the visitors get a copy of the steel band tune and hear them play it. Could you please? I'm making. Are you the moderator? Are you the moderator? Mr. Chairman, I seek your permission. I'm trying to make an analogy which is in a comparison. That's another thing. The intolerance of Muslims towards non-Muslims. I was making the comparison that there's a good thing in the steel band, but we in Trinidad and Tobago, we are unable to market it. The same thing, we have an excellent thing in Islam, but we are unable to market it. The phone night, what was it? Professor Zakir, and I was also listening to Jean Myers there. And they're able to communicate and convince people. And that is one of the problems in Islam, unable to market it. So hence the reason, in spite of the slight aberration on my right, who is also intolerant, who comes, I don't think he comes to hear something else, but I'll forgo that. I think he's... It's not my fault, thank you. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
All right. We have, what he was trying to tell you is we have a steel band in Barakwa, and he's a professional musician, and he was beating the drums last night in Barakwa, the campfire. We need communicators. We need people who can market Islam. And I'm learning a lot of lessons from Tariq Ayub, the CEO of Muslim Channels TV of California, who made a tremendous sacrifice to come here today. And Tariq, we appreciate very much that you are here. He has these communication skills. We need people like Ashmead. I told Ashmead I'm going to keep him close to me now, because he has skills of management. We should have had him with us in the retreat from day one. But if I'm going to give you an answer, but I'll be crucified. If we are in the state we are today, There are a number of reasons for it, but I'll single one. I consider it to be the most important reason of all. But first, let me seek some protection from Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, to protect me when they want to crucify me. He said, the hadith is in the Sunan of Tirmizi, it is narrated by Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and he said, it would not be long when nothing will remain of Islam but the name. I wonder who would be responsible for that collapse. He prophesied it. And nothing will remain of the Quran but the traces of the writing. I wonder who would be responsible for this betrayal of the Quran. You read it for the dead, but you would not go to the Quran that it can explain the world to you. At that time, the masajid would be grand structures, iron and steel, multi-million-dollar buildings. Ambassador Osman's father was an imam. I've never met a man like him. I have never in my life met a man like his father, who'd ride a bicycle. Even through the rain, he'd drive it. He'd ride for hours to come to listen to a lecture on Islam, to learn. With so much humility in that man, all through his life. But today, grand structures, iron and steel, hullabaloo. مساجدهم عاملة وهي خراب من الهدى. But the masajid are devoid of guidance. Now listen to the last piece, and you get your answer. Who is most responsible of all, for all the squalor, all the destitution, all the poverty, all the slavery? Ulama'uhum. The ulama, the religious scholars, the maulanas, the muftis, the shuyukh of those people with those grand structures and so on. شَرُّ النَّاسَ مِمَّنْ تَحْتَ أَدِيمِ السَّمَاءِ. They would be the worst people beneath the sky. Why? I told you why. It's patake, baker's man. That's why. You have backbones made of recycled paper. Why can't you be like Malcolm? That's why. علماؤهم شر الناس ممن تحت أديم السماء من عندهم تخرج الفتنة وفيهم تعود. They will be the center, sources of the corruption and collapse of our society and civilization. That's your answer, Usman, but I'm going to be crucified now. The next question? Yes, guys?
Sheikh,
1 second. PBC 7143. You know what you have to do. PBC 7143, you know what you have to do. Yes, Light is from?
UK?
Britain, yeah. He was one of the last on the train coming here.
MashaAllah, Sheikh, commiserations to your speech. It was very good, MashaAllah, once again. Just wanted to clarify, really, a lot of us are going to go back to our countries, and we want to replicate or challenge people on a lot of the things that we've learned, especially the methodology and how you explain things. Many of us don't know Arabic, one person being myself. Does our foundation need to be in understanding the Arabic language in addition to support from your books for us to be able to justifiably, repeat exactly all the things we're learning? Do we have to build that foundation first, or is your books just sufficient and the English text sufficient to be able to articulate the message as you have to us?
My teacher of blessed memory, Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari Rahimahullah, spoke about different levels of understanding the Quran, the message of Islam. There's a basic level for the common people. But if you want to challenge the oppressor intellectually, you've got to rise higher than the basic level. You have to, at the highest level, you've got to probe, because at the probe level, read that book, The Quranic Foundations and Structure of Muslim Society. The Malaysian edition, I think, is also long, but the Pakistani edition is at the back there. and it's a cheaper cost as well. He calls it the probe level. And if you want to study the religion at the probe level, to be able to discover the guidance in the Quran with which to understand the world that is unfolding around you today and to respond to it, then you'll need the Arabic language. There are pearls in the Quran, pearls. And you have to be guided to each pearl to discover it. And then, in Maulana's inimitable description, you have to be able to bring the pearls together to make the necklace. He calls that the system of meaning of the subject. And I think it was on Thursday we talked about that methodology for study. But if you want to come to Trinidad, Maulana Siddiq Ahmad Nasir is back there, become his student. Next question.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Which is this? Oh, Milad from Australia. Oh no, he's Afghanistan really. Mm-hmm.
Sheikh, this is more of a comment and a question. I just was personally, and I'm sure on behalf of the brothers, want to thank you. And just to make a note that I'm sure this message as well is very hard for, like you said, for many people to accept. But maybe in family, maybe in community. But just, I think you and as well as us have to recall what our Prophet ﷺ went through himself, the alienation, the years of just being left alone and looked at as something low. But in the end, haqq prevailed. And inshallah, this will happen with this as well. Secondly, Sheikh, the second thing I want to make a note of is that us, we came here not knowing any of each other. And I'm talking about the younger brothers here. Like you said, we're all over the world, from Australia, England, here, there. But mashallah, the bond that we've created just in a few days, it's like we've known each other for years.
This is Yusuf from California next to you.
Yes. And alhamdulillah, I've noticed like in my own family and my own society, a lot of the older generation, they have many disputes and things and little things. And alhamdulillah, I don't see that as much as in our generation. And inshallah, it's us who are going to be the leaders, the frontiers of the Islamic revolution. However, I just thought if you could give us some advice, some nasihat about what we should do, something that should stick with us always, no matter where we are in the world, no matter who we're with, our brothers or non-brothers, what we should do to each other.
Number one, I like the question. Number one, apart from those things that Allah has made obligatory on you, apart from those things, number one, recite Surah Al-Kahf on every day of Jummah, okay? Number two, start the Quran from this cover. Don't stop until you reach the other cover. And when you finish, start back again. And when you finish, start back again. Keep on reciting the Quran. Keep on reciting the Quran cover to cover. Cover to cover. At the beginning, you might take 3 months to finish it. But then you make 2 months and 1 month. I was a student in Egypt, and Ramadan came. And I'm in buses, and in Egypt you have to be an acrobat. Because you have 1 foot on the running board, and you're holding on for dear life, and the bus is going. And I saw people in the buses, packed like sardines, and one hand is holding on for dear life, and 1 foot is hanging out, and he has the Quran and he's reciting. I said, what kind of people are these Egyptians? I never saw this in Trinidad. If you are true to the Quran will be true to you. Listen to the verse. You ask the question, I'm giving it to you. It is in Surah Al-Furqan. Take it home with you when you go to sleep tonight. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وقال الرسول, and the messenger said, Ya Rab, oh my Lord. He's complaining. He's complaining about something. And he's complaining to his Lord. And he's complaining about us. Ya Rab, inna qawmi ittakhadhu هذا القرآن مهجورا. My people have forsaken this Quran. So the first step to return to the Quran is to return to the recitation of the Quran. My mother could not read Arabic correctly, broken. My father died when I was 15, and she had all these orphan children. Sometimes no food in the house. And so she struggled. But in the night time when she put the children to sleep, Imran would see her sitting in the sitting room all by herself, reciting the Quran. And her tears would be falling on the pages of the book. She could not understand what she was reading. No. But the Quran gave her strength, as the Quran can give you strength. And the Quran can give you light. And the Quran can be your source of wisdom and knowledge. And the Quran can protect you. You can make this dua that I make. Oh Allah, kindly bless me with the knowledge of the Quran, and the wisdom of the Quran, and the guidance of the Quran, and the nur, the light of the Quran, and the shifa, the healing of the Quran. And kindly grant that this Quran might be a friend, companion, protector for me in the life of this world, and at the moment of my death, and when I'm on my grave, and on Judgment Day. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. It is the Quran that will take us out of the mess in which we are today. But for that we need a new methodology, a new tafsir, a new usul al-tafsir to complement the usul al-tafsir that we've already had. We don't need to change that. We need to augment it. Any more questions?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
I'm Muhammad Abdullah Dawal from Jamaica.
Oh, yes, I remember your call.
I have a question. The question is, I've heard
Jamaica is to the north, close to Cuba. Yeah.
I've heard you mention of the association of the Jews and the Christians. Say that these are the people that we should avoid, that are mentioned in the Quran. Now, there are two places I've seen the Jewish, the star, known as the Star of David, the six-pointed star. It's on the flag of Israel, and most of the emblems here in Trinidad and Tobago. If you look and see like the car of the police is passing by, you'll see that six-pointed star. So I'm trying to find out now if there's some kind of association between the powers to be in Trinidad and Tobago and the Jews.
You are allowed to marry a Christian woman, other than in Malaysia. Malaysian law doesn't allow it. But the Quran allows you to marry a Christian woman. And when you marry her, she can be your friend, you know. Yeah. But the verse of the Quran has been translated. Surah Al-Ma'idah. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who have faith in Allah. لا تتخذوا اليهود والنصارى أولياء. Do not take the Jews and do not take the Christians as your friends and allies. So you're going to have to tell her. In Trinidad, you call your wife Dudu. So you're going to have to say, Dudu, you could be my wife, but you can't be my friend, you know. Don't take the Jews and don't take the Christians as your friends and allies. بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. They are friends and allies of each other. That's not true. That's false. Jews and Christians were never friends and allies of each other. Never Jews and Christians were friends and allies of each other. But that's the translation. Do not take the Jews and do not take the Christians as your friends and allies. They are friends and allies of each other. And whosoever from amongst you turns to them with friendship and alliance, you belong to them. You no longer belong to us. And surely Allah does not provide guidance for a people who commit such an act of ghulum, wickedness. That translation is not correct. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that He ordered the angels to bow down, to prostrate before Adam alayhi salam. فَسَجَدُوا, and they all prostrated, illa Iblis, save Iblis. Yes, several times in the Quran. If you take this verse of the Quran by itself in isolation as a standalone verse, which you should not do, then you'd come to the wrong conclusion. The one that you throw out of the window. With this wrong methodology, you'll come to the conclusion that Iblis or Satan was an angel. Because the order was given to the angels and they all bowed down except him. That defective methodology of studying a verse in isolation led to that mistake. Which is why Maulana Ansari rahimahullah in Quranic Foundations and Structure of Muslim Society warns about it. Don't do that. Take all the verses of the Quran. Try to find that which binds them together. Put all put the necklace together, all the diamonds, to get the system of meaning. And then you see that when you turn to the whole of the Quran, no. Not only was he not an angel, but he could not have been an angel. And then the Quran declares he was jinn. Similarly with this verse. If you take this verse in isolation, you'll never be able to get the true meaning. When you take the totality of the guidance, then you know Allah is not speaking of all Christians. No. And He's not speaking of all Jews. No. He is saying that there will come a time when there will be what I describe as a mysterious reconciliation between some Jews and some Christians. And a mysterious alliance will emerge. When that Jewish-Christian alliance emerges, do not take such Jews and such Christians as your friends and allies, who themselves are friends and allies of each other. This is the understanding of the verse that you'll arrive at when you take the totality of the guidance. And whosoever from amongst you turns to them, that Jewish-Christian alliance which emerged in Europe and which gave to the world modern Western civilization with its epistemological secularism, of which Maulana Siddiq had just spoken. Whosoever turns to them, belong to them, because you will be absorbed in that godless melting pot. And Allah will not provide guidance for a people who commit such acts of zulm. So that's the way we respond to the last question. It's now 3 minutes to 3. One more question before we have the last session. Sisters, no question. 100. Thank you very much. Okay. Our sister from Australia. No, she's from Afghanistan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa salam.
Malana question is about our children. Given that the education institutions around the world are controlled and governed by the government, including Islamic schools, can you give us some guidelines on how to raise our children? And until we find a Muslim village to move to, before this Muslim village is ready. Do you recommend homeschooling? Thank you.
In Canada, I got information from Canadian Muslims that the Canadian government is now making it obligatory law. Every school in Canada, including religious schools, are now obliged by law to teach that homosexuality is an acceptable mode of sexual conduct. Yes, the law says so. And Allah in the Quran has commanded, Ku anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Protect yourselves and protect your families from the fire. If that is what it is today, let me tell you what tomorrow is going to be like. How do I know? Because Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam told us, when you see women dressed and yet naked, you must know what tomorrow has in store for you. When you see women dressed like men and men dressed like women, let me not say any more, I might get in trouble. You must know what tomorrow has in store for you. When you see riba all around you, to such extent that no one can escape riba. And if anyone were to say that he is free from riba, verily the dust of riba is upon him. Verily the vapor of riba is upon him. When you see these things around you, you must know what tomorrow holds in store. He said that holding on to Islam will be like holding on to hot coals. Did he not say that? So if you want to listen to Pata cake baker's man, which unfortunately is what they have to do now to survive as imams to get their salaries. That's it. That's it. To get your salary and to hold on to your green card, you have to become Pata cake baker's man. I left the United States. And here in Trinidad, I have the freedom to say that what I could never say in New York. If you remain in a society in which all of these things are appearing, then remember tomorrow what's going to happen. He said that people are going to be having sexual intercourse in public like donkeys. Do you want your children to grow up with that around you? What you have to do is to turn away from areas of greater insecurity. What kind of insecurity am I talking about? The insecurity about your house when you lock it? No! I'm talking about the insecurity of what is inside of you. If you live in areas of greater insecurity, turn away from them and move to areas of greater security. Security meaning security for what resides within the heart. If it looks like heaven, get out of there. Get out of there. And go to somewhere that looks like hell. Because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that the road to heaven will be made to look like the road to hell. You know it, you've heard the hadith. And the road to hell will be made to look like the road to heaven. So get out of the countries which look like heaven. I don't need to call any names. You got to go back home, some of you. And move to the countries that look like hell. But even in the countries look like hell, there are areas which look like heaven, like downtown Zamalek, where the affluent suburbs of Cairo, or in Jakarta. The rest of Jakarta looks like hell, but this little suburb, like heaven. So turn away. even within a country which looks like hell. Turn away from those areas which look like heaven. My suggestion has always been, and my advice has always been, search the countryside, the remote countryside. And don't move to the countryside by yourself alone. Try to get others to come with you. Keep a low profile. Have small villages. And in those villages, strive and struggle. Strive and struggle to recover the guidance of Islam that you live it. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا. And if you make the effort, Allah will help you. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Allah will help you. And that's, time is up.
My dear brothers and sisters, that's not the end. We still have a ways to go for this afternoon's program. You can use just a couple of minutes to stretch your legs if you'd like, and perhaps get something to drink, some refreshment. Just about 5 minutes, inshallah, no more than that. And when we